Now, the other thing is this: you can either try to trade for somebody or go through free agency. Issue is this: with COVID, because of free agency, if you do sign a guy, he has to wait. I believe it is 2 weeks before he can actually come out there. So that's what's going on with Le'Veon right now. They say because you're technically a street free agent, you have to go through that whole quarantine process. So even if you did sign somebody off the street, you know he's not going to be available to you for the next 2 weeks. So that's another part of the reason why they're going with who they have. The other alternative is if they were to trade for somebody. That could work, but the only issue is how long it's going to take for said player to get up to speed and what do you have to give up for them. I personally think that they could still potentially trade for someone.
Yeah.
I just don't know when they're going to do it. I think they still have, 2 or 3 weeks left before the deadline.
Yeah.
So something could happen in between that time frame. I know the different names that people have been throwing out there, whether it's trade or free agency and things like that.
I haven't seen the trade. I've only seen free agent names. Do you remember any of the trade names?
For me, I saw Deion Jones, Atlanta Falcons.
That would be big time.
Yeah, but the thing is, what do you have to give up to get him? And this is the thing. For me, I could see Kevin Colbert going either way. We saw how aggressive he was last year acquiring Minka right when you lost Big Ben for the year. So that still lets you know that he was trying to put the pedal on the metal and go and win now. So I could see a scenario where he does try to be aggressive and find a player like that to bring in. But at the same time, I could see him saying, well, look, man, I like what we have right now. We don't want to give up too many assets from a draft standpoint. Let's roll what we have and we're good to go. Like I said, either way, it could be beneficial, but both sides can backfire as well. You could bring in a guy through trade or through free agency, and they don't live up to the expectations. You could roll with the group that you have, and they never fully be able to fulfill the hole that was left by Devin. But the one positive in this whole situation, because it was very similar to 2017 when they lost Ryan Shazier, the beauty is this is happening in October, whereas when Shea went down, it happened in December with 3 games left, and you're scrambling at that point in the season. Right now, you can try and play the next couple of games with Spillane or using a rotation of those 3 guys. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't kill you because you still got a whole 10 games left. So then from there, you can say, okay, well, all right, this didn't work. Let's go trade. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, well, let's go through free agency. Who's available right there? So you have options. And that to me is the biggest benefit throughout this whole scenario, just the timing of it happening. Because if this happens in December with 2 or 3 games up for the playoffs, I mean, you saw how we literally were going through a carousel of guys trying to just figure out some type of combination to take up the slack of Ryan Shazier being down. But I will say this, man, knowing Coach Tomlin, he's not going to be worried about talking to those that LB, whoever they replace him with, right? Whether it's Spillane, Gilbert, Allen, whether they go shopping, right, and get a free agent or a trade. He's not going to be harping to that guy. He's going to be harping to the guys around him in terms of Vince, in terms of Hayden, Minka, Cam, Tua. He's going to be telling all those guys, look, man, y'all got to step up. You got to pull more weight. We know how talented y'all are. Some of y'all are paid very handsomely and others are about to get paid like that. This is the time to show what you're really worth. This is the time to show that you're as good as advertised. You got to pull more weight because we're not going to expect or ask those guys, any of those guys, whether they're on the team now or you go and find them through, like I said, free agency or trade. You're not going to ask any of those guys to come in and be the green dot guy and do everything that Devin could do because they're just not. If you're available right now through free agency, there's a reason. If you haven't been starting these first 5 games, there's a reason. So expect a drop off. I think that's the biggest thing, man. Just the expectations surrounding whatever they do. Understand that, hey, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be as pretty as we would like it, but they're going to get it done.
Have you seen some of the free agent names?
Yeah, between Burfict, Wesley Woolyard,
Ogletree.
Alec Ogletree, Nigel Bradham. Yeah, that's not a good amount of them.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a name that sticks out?
Any of those guys, could they come in and help? Sure, but all of those guys have flaws. And there's a reason why all of them are still available. Obviously, with I saw Darren Lee as well from the Jets. Well, he used to be with the Jets. He's coming off of a 4-game suspension, but there's a reason why even he was available because he still hadn't lived up to the expectations. They talked about him as if he was going to be like Ryan West to us. Shazier we're talking about. They thought that Darren Lee could be like that, and he never really lived up to it. Wesley Woolyard, an older player, let's see, because he was 3 years ahead of me. So like I said, he's a little bit older in the tooth and obviously was starting to decline anyways, which was why the Titans had transitioned out of him being their guy. Then when you look at Nigel Bradham, Nigel
He was on your watch list for free agency.
Absolutely. And his former teammate of mine, man, really good dude, man, in terms of just on the field, like love his development. But even he has some struggles when it comes to coverage. I mean, can fly, excels in terms of run support, but that's going to take some time. And also switching defenses. He's a 4-3 guy. This is a 3-4, totally different in terms of his responsibilities and what they would ask of him to do. So that's the only thing. Obviously, I think Burfict would be a good fit. But
he's the best of all of them, easily.
But then again, I still go back to the whole thought process of he's still more of your thumper instead of a legit like cover guy. And especially right now with the Steelers, what they've been doing, we talked about, they play a lot of man-to-man. Now, they did a good job of mixing it up this week, but their identity this season has been predominantly man-to-man. Burfict, I mean, we've never talked about Burfict as some elite covered linebacker or some speedy backer. No, we say, man, he's extremely physical. He plays downhill, plays right on that borderline of really hard and dirty. But like I said, man, when we go through the history of the Steelers, we got some guys like that too. It is what it is. But
yeah, I really think like if we wanted Burfict, it would work out somehow. You know what I mean? I feel like both sides would come together, whatever it is.
I don't think that would be the issue at all.
Burfict wouldn't. He's not on a team right now. If he wants to play football, and the Steelers were the team that was offering him, I'm sure he'd play, and I'm sure just things would get settled. Whatever differences there are, they'd get settled. But he's the best of the bunch. But like you said, I don't know how much of a fit it's going to be.
Because what we're looking for, I mean, we have a thumper in Vince. We know Spillane can play the run game. We're not worried about that. But the issue is having two like body types out there, like when it was Vince and Bostic, or it was Vince and Barron, or excuse me, Devin and Barron. Like you can't have two thumpers out there because teams will start to spread you out. We even talked about it, how they were doing a good job of being able to hide Vince a little bit with some of the calls, but then at times teams were starting to highlight that. It's going to be a lot more difficult when you don't have a Devin to say, well, Devin, you go get their best guy. We can put Edmonds or Minka on that guy, and then kind of Vince, we'll hide you over here. You can't do that now when you're going to have two Vince Williams type body types. And this is as it pertains like a Burfict and stuff like that. So that's my only thing in terms of some of these guys have dope names and they have been productive. But in terms of what they do, is it really going to be that good of a fit? So that's my only